Be our guest, be our guest, put our service to the test. Tie a napkin around your neck, Sherry, and we provide the rest. No one fights like Gaston, has big laughs like Gaston, goes and makes up their own little song like Gaston. What's up everybody, I'm Robert Adams and this is Rad Movies Now. Today I'll be reviewing the live-action remake of Disney's Beauty and the Beast. This is the newest iteration in a trend that Disney's been doing lately where they've been taking older cartoons and remaking them into live-action movies. This follows in the footsteps of Cinderella and Maleficent, and they've got a dozen others that are coming out pretty soon, so pretty much if it's been a Disney cartoon, it's about to be a live-action movie. First of all, I'm going to get this out of the way. There's going to be spoilers in this video. I'm not doing like my last one where I did half non-spoilers and the other half spoilers. There's going to be spoilers throughout this whole video. This is pretty much just a direct remake of the cartoon. If you've seen the cartoon, it's been out since 1991, so if you're interested in the live-action movie, pretty good chance you've seen the cartoon and therefore you know the story already. You know what happens. Gaston dies, Belle ends up with Beast, everyone lives happily ever after, all the parts and pieces of the house become their regular, normal human selves again. This is no big surprise what I'm about to tell you. There's going to be like little bits and parts that have been changed that I will go into. They're not really anything really shocking or anything, so it's not going to really ruin your movie-going enjoyment. But I will say, since I am going to tell you these things, and even though you may already know the movie, if you absolutely, positively do not want to know any of this new stuff, feel free to end the video right here before I continue going on. With that said, let's move on. Like I just said, the whole movie was pretty much a direct remake of the cartoon. There were a few changes that were done, like some interactions that some of the characters had, and some of the scenarios. One of the biggest scenarios that I know was changed to add in dramatic effect is instead of the townspeople wanting to get crazy old Maurice committed for seeing a beast, instead Gaston and LeFou end up taking him out into the woods and leaving him out there for the wolves to eat. A part of this is also because just Maurice isn't like really keen on the idea of Gaston trying to marry his daughter. He really doesn't like Gaston either, so Gaston's just trying to get him out of the way. Little bits and stuff like that were what they added to it, and it kind of helps with the dramatic effect of the movie, but so be it. They also added in a couple of new songs. I don't know them all off the top of my head. I know all the old ones off the top of my head, but I mean, I was 10 when that came out, so of course I'm going to remember those. But one of the new songs that they did add was called Evermore. This is a song that Beast sings. It was roughly right after he allowed Belle to leave the castle and go back to the village to go see her father, who was being, I guess, harassed by the villagers. And then Beast is worried that Belle's not going to come back and she's not going to be the one to break the spell and whatnot. So that was a fantastic song. He sings it in the movie, and then there's also a version of it that's sung by Josh Groban during the end, the very end credits, which is also fantastic. So I'm a little disappointed they took away that song, Human Again, which was the song that they added into the special edition when they released it on Blu-ray and DVD fairly recently. Was a good song, it was kind of a cool song, and they got rid of that, so I was kind of disappointed that wasn't in there. And the other thing, the elephant in the room for this movie, was the whole controversy regarding Disney deciding to make the character of LeFou, Gaston's sidekick, making him gay. There really isn't too much of it. He is kind of like a flamboyant character, which I could see they kind of changed it from him being the stupid, clumsy sidekick in the cartoon. They just kind of made him just more outgoing. So not really too much actually there that is really considered gay. At the very beginning, they're riding horses, and he says something along the lines that if like Belle doesn't want to marry Gaston, that who's going to be better than the two of them. And then there's that split second at the very end where they show him dancing, and he's primarily dancing with the woman, and then there's like a split scene where another guy cuts in, and LeFou just gives him like this just look like, okay, and then that's it. So really not too much in there. I don't really understand why it was put in there, and I understand that Disney's wanting to update this and make it for a modern audience. I don't know. I've got more opinions of that I just really don't want to get into on my channel here. I really don't want to get into political stuff, so that be what it was. It was blink and you miss it. It's really not that big of a deal as like a lot of people seem to be making of it. So anyways, as for what I liked of the movie, I did like how this movie cleared up a lot of plot holes that were in the original cartoon. One of the things I always thought that was weird was that this is supposed to be the castle and the prince over the town that Belle lives in, yet none of the townspeople know of the prince or the beast or any of this is really going on. And this movie did a good job in the fact that they made it when the enchantress cursed the prince and all the people who lived in the castle, that they also went through, or she went back and erased all of those people and things from the townspeople's minds. So therefore, they don't have any idea that there is a castle, that there's supposed to be a prince ruling over them. They have no idea. And some of the people who worked in that castle were also loved ones of the villagers, so they've just completely lost and forgot memories of these loved ones. So that was kind of a cool thing, because it was always really awkward in the cartoon. One of the other things that was awkward in the cartoon, and this was just recently pointed out to me actually, was that there was some kind of question over the age of the prince. The cartoon made it sound like that the enchantress came to his doorstep, cursed him, and then the opening narration is talking about that rose, and that the rose is going to wilt and the last petal should fall at the 21st year. Now the movie actually says the 21st year. It doesn't actually state specifically the prince's 21st birthday, but there seems to be a lot of confusion on that. A lot of people are leaning towards believing that it is talking about the prince's 21st birthday. So they got rid of that. Oh, well, the problem was if it was the 21st birthday and the rose is about to wilt, and then Lumiere in the song Be Our Guest says 10 years we've been, 10 years we've been rusting. So in this movie he goes back and says too long we've been rusting instead of 10 years. So that way you don't have any point of reference, because if it was 21 when the rose falls and Lumiere just saying that they've been rusting for 10 years, that would make the prince around 11 when he told the enchantress to go away and he got cursed, whatever, which was all kinds of weird, especially since there was already a painting of him as an adult that he scratches at the beginning of the movie. So that made it kind of weird. So in this one they kind of left the whole age ambiguous, with the exception that the movie does start off with the prince hosting a party, and it was during this party is when the enchantress comes in and disturbs and disrupts everything. So they kind of got rid of that little plot hole that may have been that people were inferring about. There's a couple of others in there that were kind of weird. And I like the fact that they were able to fix some of those. Overall, the cast was absolutely amazing. I'm not a huge fan of Emma Watson. I wasn't also a big Harry Potter fan, so just not really anything about Emma Watson that I really enjoy. Everyone else in this movie was fantastic. The casting was very well done. And I thought the CGI on some of the inanimate objects that were alive in the castle, I thought those were fantastic. And especially the work that was done on Lumiere and Cogsworth. The way they made them look, especially when Lumiere had to go back to a freezing position, looked amazing. And the songs were handled very well. The older songs from the original movie, all of them still had that same kind of like feel and pizzazz. They were sung pretty well. They were still enjoyable. The things I didn't like about this movie, some of the newer stuff there was stuff added in, like I was talking about earlier, where they're gonna leave Maurice to be eaten by the wolves. All this stuff was added in either for drama or just to handle things in a different way than it was in the original cartoon. And because of that, they've had to move around some of the timeline, or some of the time that they had for the movie. So because of that, it made it look like they emphasized some parts and really just drew them out, while at other parts they really shortened it and it was just really rushed through those bits, pieces, and scenes. Because of that, the editing was also a little off. Scenes were cut like it went from like scene to scene to scene. I think at one point we went from like 3 different scenes within a matter of like 10 seconds, and it was kind of confusing, the fact that we were already jumping, and especially since, like I said, that was one of those parts where they reduced the time that they focused on that part, so they could have room for the other stuff that they added in, or the other stuff they wanted to draw out later. So the editing just didn't work with that. The other thing I didn't like was Beast's facial expressions. At some point, they were almost too cartoony, and I know they were trying to go back and get the idea of some of his cartoony facial features from the cartoon, which, I mean, obviously one of the favorites, my personal favorite, and I believe everyone else liked it too, was the part where Beast is eating his food and he's burying his face in it, and then you see him look up and he's like, stuff like that. And that will probably be the thumbnail for this video, by the way. Stuff like that was great in a cartoon, and they did something similar to that in the movie. They did it that one little look justice, but there was a lot of times where he's just talking to Belle, and he's kind of like, well, and he's just kind of like, his head's bobbing, his eyes looking back and forth. I don't know, they're trying to make him look like the cartoon instead of like a live action CGI, which is basically a computerized cartoon, instead of making it look a little more realistic. And I thought that was a little weird. Some of the facial features were kind of funny, were kind of cool and neat in the moment, but otherwise it just didn't seem to fit in very well. And a lot of these were particularly in the interactions between Beast and Belle. Once he gets past that whole being gruff, probably around the time where he's giving her the library, and probably right before they actually go into like the Beauty and the Beast theme, dancing in the ballroom. So that was kind of weird. And mentioning the ballroom, I absolutely hated the look of that ballroom. You go back and you watch the original cartoon, the ballroom is huge, it's magnificent, it's got a lot of like browns, oranges, yellows, a lot of very warm colors, which was great in contrast to the Beast's bright blue suit that he was wearing, and it also helped soak in Belle's yellow dress. This one, it was a big white room. It didn't feel like it was like the most elegant room in the entire castle. It just was kind of blah. And even though I liked the version of the Beauty and the Beast theme, the look of the ballroom just kind of felt, excuse me, the look of the ballroom just kind of ruined that for that bit. So And then really the only other thing I didn't like was Luke Evans's look as Gaston. His acting was fantastic. He had that douchey kind of feel to him. He had that down perfectly. Especially the part in the beginning where he's looking at himself in the mirror. Hilarious. But he was not the big imposing guy that Gaston is. And it was really funny when they get into the Gaston song, where he's saying that now that he's eaten all these raw eggs, that he's roughly the size of a barge. And he's probably about half my size. For those of you that know me personally, I'm kind of a big guy. But he's a skinny, scrawny Gaston, and it just did not make sense. Overall, it was a good movie. It was entertaining. It was a great nod to the original cartoon. It was maybe not the best live-action Disney remake that they've done lately. I think probably Cinderella was a little bit better. I'm not going to go back into it, but I thought Maleficent was kind of a mess, that they were doing the whole movie from the angle of the villain. So there were a lot of things I didn't like about Beauty and the Beast. There was a lot of things I really did. It was a great nod to the cartoon overall. Hopefully they fix what needs to be fixed on it, and they get the feel of it right before they continue on with more of these live action movies. I know they've got Lion King is in the pipeline, and how they plan on doing a live-action Lion King, I'm not exactly sure. I'm guessing it's going to be like the live-action Jungle Book, where all the animals are going to be CGI talking. So it's pretty much a live-action cartoon. So anyways, that's my review for Beauty and the Beast. If you've seen it, feel free to comment what you think, if you agree, disagree. And again, this is a new YouTube channel, so feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. I plan on doing a couple of more videos, some more things that will be coming out pretty soon other than movie reviews. I've got a couple of more of those drunk movie plots. Those should be kind of fun and interesting, maybe. And then I've got a couple other ideas that I can't wait to share and see what y'all think about it. So anyways, that's it for right now. Again, feel free to comment, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.